So good day everybody. I am Cadet Caminade, Caminade, the leader of Group 1, with a topic to discuss of sustainable development. But before discussing said topic, let me first introduce the members of the group, starting with Cadet Art Ryan BECALDO, Cadet KRYL Caminade, Cadet Joseph Ken CINCOFLORES, Cadet John Albert FAUNILAN, Cadet Patrick RIMBERT GALIA, Cadet Kyle RECIBAS, Cadet Mark Anthony TABANAO, Cadet HANSEL KIRK, Cadet Kit ADRIAN Villanueva, Cadet John CARLO VILLEGAS. So let me call upon Cadet HANSEL KIRK to formally discuss about sustainable development.
Hello everyone, I am Hansel KRK. I am about to discuss what is sustainable development. Sustainable development is an organizing principle for meeting human development goals while also sustaining the ability of natural system to provide the natural resources and ecosystem services on which the economy and society depend. Sustainable development has been defined in many ways, but the most frequent quoted definition is from Our Common Future, also known as the Brundtland Report. Sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable development can be defined as an approach to the economic development of a country without compromising the quality of environment for the future generations. In the name of economic development, the price of environmental damage is paid in the form of land degradation, soil erosion, air and water pollution, deforestation, and etc. Damage surpass the advantage of having more quality outputs, goods, and services.
I'm our friend BECALDO. I'm going to discuss what is the difference between stability from sustainability. Sustainability means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. Stability, on the other hand, the stability of a system to maintain its current state or to return to its original state after being perturbed. A sustainable system is one that can continue to function indefinitely without damaging or depleting its resource. A stable system is one that is not subject to sudden or uncontrolled changes. The two concepts are not mutually exclusive. It is possible to have a system that is both sustainable and stable. Stability focuses to maintain present state of the system and avoids changes to prevent instability, exploit the advantageous resources within the system. On the other hand, sustainability focuses to maintain the system with regards to both present and future, willing to try new method in order to maintain the system, avoids overexploitation of the resources within the system.
Good day everyone, and to our instructor Mr. Roldan Ardenes. My part in our reporting is what are the different models of global sustainable development. So there are three global sustainable development. First is the environmental pillar, refers to the laws and regulation and other policies mechanism concerning environmental issues. These issues include air, water pollution, and solid waste management, and ecosystem management, maintenance of biodiversity, and the protection of nature resources, wildlife, and endangered species. And the goals of the environmental pillars are many companies are focused on reducing their carbon footprints, packaging waste, and water usage, or other damage to the environmental pillar. So besides helping the planet, this practice can also have a positive financial impact. So the example of this pillar environment objective is to minimize raw materials use, minimize release of air contaminants to environment, and comply with all applicable environmental law. And also there are simple ways to help or protect our earth. So first is reduce, reuse, recycle, and cut on what you throw away. Followed the 3 R's, so to conserve natural resources and landfill space. So volunteer for clean up in our community, or isag asa pwede po barangay na. So educate, so when you further your own know education, so you can help other understand the importance and value the natural resources. So conserve water, so conserve water kanang pwede na kang di ka magsayang-sayang tubig, kanang magpataka uban sa tubig gamit. So choose sustainable, learn how to make smart seafood choices. So use long-lasting light bulbs, energy-efficient light bulbs, reduce greenhouse gases emissions. So also flip the switch if off when you leave the room or kanang wala inyong gamita. So plant a tree. Tree provides food, oxygen. They help save energy, clean the air, and help combat the climate change. So don't send chemicals into our waterways. So choose non-toxic chemical in our home or office, or bisag asa pwede po tindahan. So second pillar is all about the economic pillar. So sustainability is where most business mo ni siya ang second pillar. So feel their own firm ground to be sustainable. So a business must be profitable. That said, profit cannot trump the other 2 pillars. In fact, the profit at any cost is not an all. What economic pillar is about activities fit under the economic pillar include compliance, property governance, and risk management. While these are already table stakes for most North Korea companies, they are not always global standards. So sometimes this pillar is referred to as the governance pillar, referring to good corporate governance. That this means that boards of director and management allies which shareholders interests, as well that the community value chains and end user to consumers. So with regard to governance, investors may want to know that company use accurate and transparent accounting methods, so and that the stakeholders are given an opportunity to vote important issues. They may also want assurance that the company avoid conflicts interest their choice of board members. So don't use political contribution to obtain undefinitely favorism and treatment. So of the course, do not engage in illegal practices. So that's all for the second pillar. So next, third and the last on the pillar in our topic is the social pillar, refers to in broad or terms public policies that support social issue. So this social issue related in our well-being and include aspects like healthcare, education, housing, employment, and etc. And also social stability is about identifying the managing business impact, both negative and positive, on the people. So the quality of company relationship and engagement with its stakeholders is critical. So social pillar example in corporation, social stability performance issue include human rights, fair labor practices, living condition, health, safety of wellness, diversity and equality, and work-life balance, empowerment, community engagement, and more. So the objective of social sustainability is the secure people, social culture, and spiritual needs in a equality way. So every individual has different needs, and needs depend on a present state of society. So that's all for my topic. So thank you.
Of progress on the SDG implementation. A variety of tools exist to track and visualize this progress towards the goals. All intention is to make data more available and easily understood, which the indicators were classified into 3 tiers based on their level of methodological development and the availability of data at the global level. So the importance of the SDGs provide worldwide guidance for addressing the global challenges facing the international community. It is about better protecting the natural foundations of life and our planet, everywhere and for everyone, and preserving people's opportunities to live in dignity and prosperity across generations. Thank you, that's all.
Good morning guys, good morning classmates. My name is Joseph CINCOFLORES. What is the history of Sustainable Development Goal? In September 2015, the United Nations made history when 193 member states unanimously adopted 17 Sustainable Development Goals that serves as a centerpiece of its post-2015 development agenda. The Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) addresses the shortcoming of MDGs by incorporating a broader and transformative agenda. The MDG, which are largely focused on the targets for development countries with funding from developed countries. The SDG provide worldwide guidance for addressing the global challenges facing the international community. The SDG are bold commitment to finish what we started and tackle some more pressing challenges facing the world today. The SDG are unique in that they cover issues that affect us all. They reaffirm international commitment to end poverty permanently everywhere. That's all guys. Thank you.
What are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of UN? In goal number 1, it is the discussion of no poverty. What does it explain? It aspires to eliminate all kinds of poverty worldwide. The priorities includes ensuring that everyone has equitable access to economic resources, basic services, property and land control, natural resources, and innovative technology. Not only that, but it also has the aspiration to expand and access to essential services, which has the capability to ensure social protection for the poor and vulnerable, and assist those injured by natural disasters, economic shocks, and extreme weather occurrence. Although poverty has been reduced by half, it is still crucial to do so much more towards raising income and easing suffering for those in needs. Such targets would include eradicating extreme poverty for all people, to implement appropriate social protection systems and measurement towards individuals facing poverty, to develop the resiliency of the poor and those in vulnerable situation, and the reduction and exposure and vulnerability of aspects which include economic, social, and environmental shocks and disasters. And lastly, to ensure significant mobilization of resources through enhanced development. The next would be the goal number 2, which is zero hunger. This goal seeks protected solution. It has the capability to abolish all manifestations of hunger by the year 2030 and to achieve food security, and the goal of which is to guarantee that everyone everywhere has access to enough wholesome foods to live a healthy life. Not only that, food that has minimal nutritional value for a person's health is provided to youngsters and the most vulnerable due to the lack of development in many regions of the world. It is also with the addition of poor farming practices that it has been noted as a barrier to accomplish this goal. Therefore, in my opinion, accomplishing this goal will entail expanding the promotion of sustainable agriculture and improving access to food. But such understanding the importance of basic needs such as the satisfaction of hunger towards each individual's remains to be a constant priority. It can be attained with the proper steps and actions which are to end hunger and the assurance of equal access by all people, and to ensure the satisfaction of basic needs and importance of nutrition and sufficient food, to have the rational mindset in having programs that help in ending forms of malnutrition, which ranges from chronic undernourishment to obesity, to ensure sustainable food production systems and the implementation of resilient agricultural practices, to attain the importance of doubling agricultural production, which starts in a small-scale income to large-scale depending on the differences of food producers, and lastly, to ensure and secure the importance of equal access of lands in order to be distributed equally among the people to further broaden the opportunities of more food productions.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, everyone. And by the way, I'll be sharing my report on the goal number 3, which is good health and well-being. So the goal addresses all major health priorities, including reproductive, maternal, and child health, communicable, non-communicable, and environmental disease, universal health coverage, and access for all to safe, effective, quality, and affordable medicines and vaccines. Not only that, health is a fundamental human right and a key indicator of sustainable development. Poor health threatens the rights of children to education, limits economic opportunities for men and women, and increases poverty within communities and countries around the world. Such ambitions can only be successful with proper mindset and understanding towards the execution of such as first, to recognize the importance and understanding of the interdependence of health and development. Second, to provide ambitious, comprehensive plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. Third, to creating such programs that would prompt out the idea of ending the injustices and the underpin poor health and development outcomes. Fourth one is to aspire and to ensure health and well-being for all, including a bold commitment to end the epidemics of AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and other communicable diseases by 2030. And lastly, to creating proper well-being in building up resilience in which creates a supporting cast that would help the community in supporting each other through a crisis or change. And the goal number 4 will be the quality education. Quality education aims at developing a balanced set of capabilities of children that are required to become economically productive, develop sustainable livelihoods, contribute to peaceful and democratic societies, and enhance individual well-being. Education is the key that will allow many other sustainable development goals to be achieved. When people are able to get quality education, this can break from the cycle of poverty. To protect the well-being of children and ensure they have access to continued learning, it is important to deploy innovative solutions and specifically aim first to ensure that all girls and boys complete free primary and secondary schooling by 2030. Second, providing quality education for all is fundamental to creating a peaceful and prosperous world. Third, to provide equal access learning process, educational outcome to affordable vocational training. Fourth, to eliminate gender and wealth disparities with the aim of achieving universal access to a quality higher education. And lastly, to help provide in mobilizing resources and implementing innovative and context-appropriate solutions to provide education remotely leveraging high-tech, low-tech, and no-tech approaches. That will be all, and thank you so much.
Hi everyone, this is Cadet RECIBAS from the University of Cebu Maritime Education and Training Center. So, goal number 5, gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, in addition to being a fundamental human right. Gender equality is also a precondition for a world that is stable, prosperous, and sustainable. Although there has been progress in recent decades, gender equality will not be achieved by the year 2030 as planned. In addition, achieving gender equality and empowering all women and girls is a key component of sustainable development in all of its forms, from eradicating hunger and poverty to fostering inclusive growth and building peaceful, just, and inclusive societies, as well as ensuring the preservation of the environment and its natural resources. So in order to achieve such ambition in giving out order and a prosperous world, it is important to learn in executing the correct protocols, which is first, to gain the influence and power in ending the stigma of gender disparities. Next will be to eliminating violence against the rights of women and little girls' lives. Next is to eliminate the abuse of power towards the sacrament of marriage, which is early and forced marriages. Next is to gain the trust and cooperation of the people's right in securing equal participation and opportunities. Lastly will be to speak out the importance of influence when it comes to universal access to sexual and reproductive rights. Alright, so let's proceed to goal number 6. So goal number 6 is clean water and sanitation. So access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene is the most basic human need for health and well-being. If progress doesn't quadruple, billions of people will lack access to these essential services by the year 2030. Rapid population growth, urbanization, and rising water requirements from the agricultural, industrial, and energy sectors are all contributing to an increase in demand for water. Water stress has been made worse by years of mismanagement, excessive groundwater extraction, and tainted freshwater supplies. In addition, water-related ecosystem degradation, climate change-related water scarcity, underinvestment in water and sanitation, and inadequate cooperation on transboundary waters all pose growing challenges for nations. So it is essential to comprehend how to follow the right protocols in order to fulfill this ambition of spreading order and a thriving society, which is specifically first is to demonstrate the critical importance of sanitation, hygiene, and adequate access to clean water for preventing and containing diseases. Next is to reach universal access to drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene by the year 2030. Next is to unlock the economic growth in the society, which increase the productivity and trade. Next is to provide significant leverage for existing investment in health and education. Lastly is to exemplify the clean water and sanitation is fundamental in fighting the virus and preserving the health and well-being of millions. So that will be all.
SDG 7 is dedicated to ensuring affordable and clean energy for all. Target 7.1 aims to ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services, which includes both electricity and clean cooking fuel. On the electricity front, the definition of access simply means having a usable electricity source that can provide basic lighting and power gadgets, while the definition of clean cooking facilities is access to modern fuels and technologies. These include natural gas, liquefied petroleum gas, electricity, and biogas, or improved biomass cookstove that have considerably lower emissions and higher efficiencies than traditional fuel sources like wood, charcoal, tree leaves, and crop residue. These cleaner burning fuels do not have particulate matter, which is extremely dangerous to human health. Currently, 759 million people do not have access to electricity, and 2.6 billion still lack access to clean cooking facilities. Target 7.2 aims to increase the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Renewable energy includes solar, wind, geothermal, hydropower, bioenergy, and marine resources. It currently makes up 11% of the total energy mix and 25% of the total global electricity consumption. Wind and solar PV have been the fastest growth rates among renewable electricity sources and are responsible for more than half of the increase in renewable electricity consumption over the past years. It is believed that renewable electricity will overtake coal as the single largest scale in 2026 to supply around 37% of the world's electricity by 2030. The use of renewable transportation is still very small at only 3.4%, which is mostly biofuels. Still, we do expect to see this continue to grow with further adoption of electric vehicles. Target 7.3 aims to double energy efficiency. This is measured by energy intensity, which is energy use versus GDP. One source of energy that we often forget is using all energy we actually produce and not letting it go to waste. This is where energy efficiency comes in. Energy efficiency simply means using less energy to perform the same task, and it is measured by what we call energy intensity. Energy intensity is the ratio of total energy supply versus annual gross domestic product or GDP, or the amount of energy we use per unit. Energy intensity declines as energy efficiency improves. So in other words, if we are using less energy to do more useful things in our economy, then we are being more efficient. SDG 7 also features two means of implementing targets, which cover financial flows to developing economies for clean energy development, global cooperation, technology exchange, and infrastructure research and development, especially for all in developing countries, in particular, least developing countries, small island developing states, and landlocked developing countries. SDG 8 covers decent work and economic growth. Target 8.1 aims to nationally appropriate GDP growth, especially it calls for a higher growth of at least 7% in the least developed countries in order to lift people out of poverty. Target 8.2 aims for high levels of labor productivity. Labor productivity measures the hourly output of a country's economy. An example, 1 hour of work can produce many different outputs. 1 hour of work constructing a computer will produce more economic value than 1 hour producing a clay pot. And with technology such as machines that produces hundreds of computers in an hour, it will produce significantly more economic value. Growth in labor productivity is dependent on three main factors: the physical capital, the human capital, and technology. Physical capital are the inputs necessary to create outputs. The human capital is the level of knowledge, skills, and expertise that workers have, while technology is a tool that allows more work to be done with less inputs. Target 8.3 aims to reduce informal employment. Workers who are informally employed frequently lack access to social protection, income security, and basic rights at work. Progress in reducing informality is poor, and 61% of workers, roughly 2 billion people, work in jobs that lack basic protection. These invisible sectors are not regulated by the government and includes all jobs in unregistered or small-scale private unincorporated enterprises that produces goods or services meant for sale. An example, self-employed street vendors, taxi drivers, or home-based workers. Target 8.4 aims at resource efficiency and decoupling. Decoupling happens when there is a negative correlation between GDP growth and material footprint. We have been seeing some countries decouple economic growth from CO2 emissions, but overconsumption remains a massive problem. Currently, a person living in a high-income country maintains a material footprint of 60% more than people living in upper middle income countries and is 13 times more than the level of low income countries. Lastly, Target 8.5 aims at the eradication of forced labor, modern slavery, and human trafficking. Forced labor is work that is performed involuntarily and under the menace of any penalty. Modern slavery is the severe exploitation of other people for personal or commercial gain. Human trafficking is the use of violence, threats, or coercion to transport, recruit, or harbor people in order to exploit them for purposes such as forced prostitution, labor, criminality, marriage, or organ removal. Child labor is work that deprives children from their childhood, their potential, and their dignity, and it is harmful to physical and mental development, specifically if it is work that is mentally, physically, socially, or morally dangerous and harmful to children and interferes with their education.
So, hi everyone. So, I am that cadet, John Carlo VILLEGAS, and we are the group 1, and my part is the goal 9 and 10. So, firstly, goal 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So, industrialization drives economic growth, create job opportunities, and thereby reduces income poverty. While innovation advances the technological capabilities of industrial sectors and prompts the development of new skills as a concept of infrastructure to provide basic physical system and structures essential to the operation of society or enterprises, which leads to industrialization, which derives from economic growth, create job opportunities, and thereby reduces income poverty. So, here are the 5 targets to build infrastructure and promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and innovation. So, the 5 targets in the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So, firstly is to achieve the desired sustainable, resilient, and exclusive infrastructure. Second one is to promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, which increases access to financial services and markets. The third one, the upgradable in all industries and infrastructure for sustainability, which enhances research and upgrade industrial technologies. So, the fourth is to facilitate sustainable infrastructure development for developing countries. And lastly is to support domestic technology development and industrial diversion, as this leads to a universal access of information and communication technology. So let's go to the next one. So goal 10. So it's all about reduce inequality. So it aims at reducing inequality within among countries at this SDG, or what we call a sustainable development growth. So calls for reducing inequalities in income as well as those based on age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status within the country. So, according to the United Nations, so SDG or Sustainable Development Growth calls for reducing inequalities, income as well as for those based on age, sex, disability, race, ethnicity, origin, religion, or economic or other status within the country. And with that perspective, it is important to devise and disseminate as a proportion, which is the first one. So we have 5 for it. So the first one is to foster pro-poor fiscal policies and develop fair, transparent tax system. Second is to enhance social services and ensure access to social protection. So third one, to increase economic inclusion and create decent work and higher incomes. The fourth one is to facilitate safe migration and mobility and take a regular migration. So the last one is to ensure that developing countries are better represented in decision making on global issues. So that would be all from my part, and thank you everyone.